afternoon, everyone. I am Pat DeVille with Keller Williams Realty in Dallas and also Keller Williams Realty in Punta Cana, Dominican Republic. I am welcoming you to my very first episode of my new series, and I'm calling it Blink If You Need a Realtor. And the purpose of this series is to connect my audience to ancillary services of real estate. It may be something that is directly related to the career of real estate, maybe agents, clients, just the general public. So welcome to the first episode. And today we're going to blink if you need an insurance consultant. Today, my very first guest is Todd Campbell. Welcome, Todd.
Thank you. Thank you.
And he's with the Todd Campbell Agency with Farmers Insurance. So if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about yourself and what it is that you do.
Well, appreciate you having me, Pat. Yeah, I'm a farmer's agent. Been a farmer's agent 15 years now. We have 8 staff other than me in the agency, 8 fully licensed agents. We focus on the real estate industry. I mean, that's where we do our marketing and our networking. And so we're pretty familiar with the real estate transaction from an insurance standpoint anyway. Okay. So, yeah, that's just kind of what we've been doing for the last 15 years.
Okay. And you're licensed in?
Just Texas.
Full state of Texas.
Yeah, the whole state.
You can buy policies anywhere.
Right.
So can you kind of expand on the changes or give us an overview of the major changes with homeowner policies and what's been happening? Because we've had some hurricanes and wind events here locally in Dallas. And the other day we were talking and you were explaining like Texas is like 2 different states because of the North and the South. So.
It is. And yeah, it's, I guess what I've been saying to everyone is Texas is kind of on its head right now from an insurance perspective because everything bad that could happen to an insurance company is happening. So expenses are going up on everything that we do, and weather events are happening more often and more severely than they ever have, or than they have in a very long time. I was reading a report just yesterday. I subscribe to a magazine called P&C Specialist, the most exciting magazine on the planet. And so they come out with daily articles, and they said that I think the last 18 months have been the most devastating 18 months from a weather perspective in 20 years or something like that.
And that's nationally?
Nationally.
Okay.
And so in Texas, unfortunately, especially North Texas, not South Texas so much, more North Texas, has been particularly susceptible to those storms, those big storms. I mean, we just got hit with a few over the spring. I lost power at my house for 5 days.
Wow.
Over in East Dallas. So to answer your question, it's so tough that companies aren't just raising rates. Some companies are just leaving. They're just not doing business in Texas anymore, which is a big deal. First time that's happened in my career in 15 years. So, usually they raise rates and we get calls about, oh my gosh, my rate's going up.
Right.
Now we're getting calls like, oh, I'm being canceled.
So they're canceling policies while they're still in effect, maybe in the middle of the term?
No, they're waiting till the end of the term, but they're getting letters 2 months before the renewal is supposed to happen saying, we're not renewing your policy. Okay. Your coverage will end. And so in my agency, we have to spend our time trying to find those people coverage. Right. And so it's gone from, can I find a policy that's a good price to, can I even find a policy for some people? So there's always options out there. It's just that the options are fewer now, which always is, it's never good for the consumer when that happens, unfortunately.
And one thing that I'd like for you to kind of stress to people is when you're looking for a policy, what are the pitfalls of trying to find the least expensive versus finding one that's adequate coverage?
That's a great question. And, I like to explain it as a kind of a shell game that the insurance plays with coverage. Everyone basically has the same coverage to offer. It's just how do they price those coverages and what segments do they want to capture? So and what that boils down to for the consumer is you get what you pay for in most cases. So if you found a policy that's much, much less expensive, than everyone else's, there's usually a reason for that. It's because you've gotten your coverage cut somehow, or you have a very high deductible. And deductibles on home policies are stated in percentages,
Correct.
which don't mean anything to people. It's when you see the dollar amount.
Or when you need
yeah, you're like,
file a
oh my
claim.
gosh, my deductible's $10,000.
Yeah.
Well, that's why your policy's cheap, or could be. You know, and like I said, rates go. There's so many things that go into your rate, but generally speaking, you get what you pay for in insurance.
Is there a formula for kind of factoring in the your contents, your personal possessions?
So, insurance companies use kind of a standardized formula to figure out, you know, how much personal property coverage to offer people, but it's more of a discussion with the client that we have. You know, we show them a quote, talk to them about the coverage limit, and ask if that's adequate.
Okay.
Because they're the only ones that are going to be able to know
What's in their home?
You know, it's kind of a hard question to answer. Like, if you lost everything, how much would it cost?
Yeah.
I have no idea. So we have to help people kind of think through it, you know, and try to figure it out.
Because I remember personally, my brother-in-law has a policy with you guys, and one of your agents, or I don't know what you want to call them, had explained to him, okay, your insurance was okay over here, but you didn't have enough coverage for your personal property. He was really shocked because he wanted, you know, he has a lot of tools and expensive things, and he wanted to make sure that he had that covered. But thank God he didn't have to file a claim,
Right,
and, you know, get hit with that. So I know your agents are really good about, you know, interviewing that client to find out exactly, you know, what do they have going on. So that brings me to the point of what does a homeowner need to know before they call that insurance company to file a claim, because they may think, well, you know, a tree fell and I need to, you know, get somebody by here to pick the tree up. And then they file a claim because part of it might have hit the fence where
Right.
they may not need to.
It's confusing. It is so confusing to know what to do, right? When you're looking at all this damage. And what I tell people is have an agent. Number one,
Okay.
have an agent who you can talk to before you deal with the insurance company.
Call that agent first.
Yes.
Okay.
That you can have a discussion with, and y'all can put your heads together and figure out the proper way to deal with it. If you have a insurance company that's just a 1-800 number and you call them to ask a question about a possible claim, the first thing they're going to do is open a claim.
Really?
Yeah. And that goes on your claims record, whether they pay or not. So, and I can't tell you how many times we've been quoting a new client to come to our agency, and they have a claim that paid $0, and it was last year, and it was for whatever the reason was. And they said, all I did was call the company, ask a question. I didn't file a claim. Well, there's a claim on your record.
And that impacted them.
Dozens of times I've had to get the client to call the insurance claims department and have them print a letter out stating that it was just an inquiry. It wasn't a claim. So it's have an agent is my answer. So you can call your agent, tell them what happened, and they can tell you what to do.
Okay, hear that, guys? Call your agent. Don't call the claims 800 number.
That's
call
right.
your agent first.
That's right.
So,
And I, you know, having said that, I'm never going to discourage people from using their insurance. They're paying premium,
correct.
right? If you need money, you need money. I mean, and you're paying this premium, might as well use it. But you just have to know a couple things, and you have to fully understand the situation you're in. You know, a lot of people call us thinking that I need to send someone out right now. It's like, that's not what the insurance company does. They are not contractors or service providers.
Okay.
They look at things after the fact. The homeowner, this is another thing that homeowners need to know, is you, the homeowner, are responsible for stopping the bleeding on your house. Or, you know, if there's a hole in the roof, you have to call someone right now before you call the insurance company to plug that hole to stop further damage from happening.
Correct.
When you get the situation stabilized is when you call the insurance company.
Okay.
After you've hired a contractor or whatever the case may be to at least stabilize the situation. So
that way the problem isn't getting worse.
right.
When you're waiting for
Take
it.
care of your house first, then and record everything, write it down, keep the invoices, whatever it is, and then call the insurance company. You have plenty of time to make the claim. You have months to make the claim, literally.
Good.
So you don't have to call the insurance company within the first 5 minutes. You can wait and get things stabilized and get your head around the situation kind of.
Okay. The scenario that agents, real estate agents get into when we have, let's say specifically a buyer, and the buyer finds the house that, that's perfect for them or whatever, and they want to investigate or put in an offer. One thing that we come up against is sometimes the buyer may have insurance issues, or the house, the property itself that they're buying could have an insurance issue. So in respect to the client or the potential homeowner, the buyer or whatever, what is it that could impact them from, not from buying the house, but their premiums on the property?
Great question. And as far as the premium on a new home quote, if someone's buying a house, isn't necessarily going to be affected by claims. It's really because the new clients don't have claims-free discounts and things like that. We just quote it as it is what it is. It literally is just eligibility. If the buyer has like a liability claim recently that they've made, many standard carriers will not write them a policy.
Okay.
If that liability claim is less than 3 years old, let's say. Some companies are different. Some look back 5 years.
Oh, really?
Farmers looks back 3 years.
Now, when you say liability claim, is that possibly from a car? Or
Let's say
auto?
your dog bit someone.
Ah, okay.
And then you had to pay a liability claim to the person for medical bills.
Okay.
Well, you're not going to be able to shop your home insurance with another standard insurance carrier for minimum 3 years.
Interesting.
And it's same with theft claims.
Okay.
This is a common thing here is a renter who's going to be a first-time home buyer, and their car was broken into last year, stole their laptop. People lose their laptops out of cars all the time in broad daylight.
Yes, purses too.
And purses. And you make the claim and you get a few $100 from your renter's policy. Well, now you cannot buy a home policy for 3 years minimum from any standard insurance company, except the company that you bought your renters from. They may write you a policy.
Okay.
So you have to have an agent to discuss these claims.
Go back to the agent.
Yeah. So, and again, I'm not saying don't use your insurance. I mean, if you have a loss, you should use your insurance. But it's just a discussion that needs to happen, right? So, and it's a shock to people because they don't understand these things until it's too late. And it's no fun I guess it gets to have that conversation.
Yes.
I do.
Yes, absolutely.
So we try to make it easy on people.
And part of this is why I wanted to have this conversation with you, is to educate people so that they're aware of it, and that, the 3 years or the 5 years or whatever could be a big factor, unless they want, they end up with another type of carrier than what could have been,
Right.
something a little bit more economical.
I think the other thing people should know that I guarantee you nobody knows right now
What's that?
is standard carriers are using your auto claims history now to rate your home policy. If you have a lot of auto claims, you're paying more for your home insurance.
We're all dying on our swords.
Yeah. and that's
Oh, my goodness.
You got to understand insurance is all about predicting behavior.
Okay.
And so they look at everyone's behavior in every way they can to try to figure out if they're going to make a claim or not. And so what the data shows is if they find out that people who make a lot of auto claims also make a lot of home claims, you're going to be charged more if you have a lot of recent auto claims for your home insurance.
And they're looking at credit scores also, aren't they?
They're looking at they're not looking at the credit source like an auto dealer or a mortgage person will look at it, but they are looking at it. And if you have collections, if you have a lot of credit cards that are all maxed out, you're paying more for your insurance, auto and home. You just are, except for in 5 states.
Do you know those 5 states?
I think California is one, New Jersey, a couple others in the Northeast.
And these do not factor in the
They don't use credit. Every other state in the country does. Because it's one of the best predictors of
behavior.
Possible claims. Yes.
Okay.
So
we've talked about the consumer. So now let's talk about the property that that consumer is considering purchasing, and if that property has some issues with it, insurance wise. So
all properties have issues, right? I mean, you look at an inspection report and something's wrong with all of them, right? And that's fine. And that's to be expected. It's, from an insurance perspective, obviously look at the claims that have happened to that property. And so let's say there was a big water claim, a very common claim. There's a big leak that flooded the water heater, sprung a leak and flooded the house. It happens all the time and insurance pays for it. All we need is proof that it's been fixed. That's all we need. We need the invoices with the detail of the repair.
Okay.
If it's within a certain time period, if it's a long time ago, it doesn't matter. But if it's within that 3-year time period, we just need the invoice. We need proof that it's been fixed.
Okay, let me back you up a little bit. Are you saying that the inspection report would be something that you'd review?
No.
Okay.
Only the invoices from the contractor who did the work.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
we have to have proof that the work's done. And if we can get that, no problem.
Okay.
And it's not going to count against you on the rate. And you can get a home policy, no problem.
Okay.
So, but the other thing is, there are things on the inspection report that will make the house uninsurable. And the roof is obviously a big one.
Correct.
Right? I mean, that's the first thing everyone looks at. And so many real estate transactions have negotiations revolving around the roof, right? I mean, the roof's in terrible shape. You got to give us something to fix this.
Right.
And, in the past, we could write a policy on a property like that. And you need to get it fixed because the insurance company inspects the house after the fact.
Correct.
And the worst thing that can happen is you move into the house and you're so happy to be there, and then you get a cancellation notice from your insurance company within 2 weeks of moving in, saying your home is in disrepair and you have 30 days to fix it. So you got to come with the money for an entire new roof within 30 days.
Because you didn't know.
And you just spent all your money on buying a house.
And
So
your furniture and your refrigerator.
yeah, so it's just looking at those things like, is the paint in good shape? Insurance company doesn't like exposed wood. You have to have
Exterior.
Exterior, yes. And these are things you can just see right when you walk up to the house. A general state of homeowner pride. That kind of thing.
Now, one thing that I was reading in the paper about 3-4 weeks ago, and this is during the time that our property assessments had come out, and I wanted to get an explanation from you, if possible, on when you see the replacement cost on your property assessment versus the assessment amount. Can you explain the difference between those two?
Yes, and that's a big point of confusion for a lot of people. And there's actually in your insurance policy, it does explain this on page 58 or wherever it is, like buried down there in the insurance policy.
Okay.
But it's the difference between reconstruction cost and market value. Okay, the tax office looks at market value. They don't look at reconstruction costs.
Okay.
So insurance company couldn't care less what the market value is because that includes land. And we're not insuring land. Land doesn't get destroyed. Buildings do.
Right.
So we insure homes for the amount it would cost to rebuild them as it sits today. So when my agents are interviewing a client, and this is why we love working with real estate, because there's a listing and it has lots of
All
pictures.
that history.
And we got a lot of info on the house. We can see exactly what's going on. And we use a software program tied to our claims data
Okay.
to enter all the information in about the house and get a estimate of reconstruction for the house.
Okay.
And that can vary wildly from the market value. And we hear it all the time from agents and from clients. Well, I can't sell the house for $1 million. Well, why are you insuring it? Well, it's a 6,000 square foot house and wherever, and vice versa. I can't sell, like you're insuring it for 400,000, it's worth 900,000. Yeah, but it's in an awesome neighborhood, but it's a smaller house. I mean, we don't insure the market value.
Right.
So it's really hard to get people to understand that. So insurance, that number on the dwelling coverage is rebuild costs. That's all it is.
Should it catch fire or something like
That's right. We want to have enough money to put it back the way it was
Okay.
if it's a total loss. That's all that is.
Gotcha. Now, going back to that, doing your research as a buyer, is it possible, and I'm not sure if this is still the case, for the consumer to be able to do some research on that house before they buy it to find out if there is claim history that hasn't been taken care of?
Absolutely. And it's a simple call to us. I mean, we can pull a claims report on a property to see what's happened.
Okay.
And now there's no status. We can't look up the status of the claim. We can just see whether it's open or closed claim, and if it paid out anything, and what happened, and when it happened.
Okay.
So and that's what we do for a lot of our business partner agents is, they'll send us an address, you pull a claims report. Yeah, here it is. Yes, there was a water claim 2 years ago that paid $25,000.
Okay.
So then they have information to go ask the seller about it. And, oh, yes, that did happen. Here's what happened, and and so it all works out,
Okay.
But yes, sometimes things are not reported.
And that's a really good advantage for agents or real estate agents to have relationships with a preferred insurance professional so that you can go above and beyond if you have a buyer or consumer or whatever that's considering a property, and you can ask questions beyond the seller's disclosure for the condition of that house. And, you could see something, when you're out there as well, and just go to a professional and find out, do some digging.
Right.
And do your research. So
Absolutely.
that could save you a lot of problems down the line.
Absolutely. It is a big deal. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else that you'd like to throw out there to the...
I just think that, when I tell people I'm an insurance agent, oh, good to meet you. And they turn away and they walk away.
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing. Insurance is no fun, right? But you got to have it.
It's important.
And you got to have the right insurance, auto and home. So I would just say, please ask questions about what you're looking at. It's confusing to look at an insurance policy. There's so many numbers on it, and there's no way you know what it all is. So ask what it is.
Okay.
What does this do for me? And your agent will explain it to you. You'll learn so much if you ask that question. Just, can you tell me what's going on here? I just don't even know. Because when you don't do that, the only way you make your buying decision is looking at the price.
Right.
And you may be paying for a bill. You're not paying for any coverage. Correct. You're just going to get a bill. So you want it to work for you when you need it. So ask questions.
Well, great. I'm so glad you came to. You were able
Thanks
to
for
make
having
yourself available. So how would anyone out in the state of Texas reach you?
All the ways. We can be reached by phone. My phone number is 214-420-7500. You can get us on the internet, Todd Campbell Farmers Insurance. Facebook, Instagram. We hang out on social media. I'm old, so I grew up on Facebook. So, so all the ways you can find us. If you do the Google and look us up, Todd Campbell Farmers Insurance, you'll find us.
Okay.
Yeah.
So today we were blinking if you need an insurance consultant professional, and I look forward to seeing my sphere out there and on the next blink if you need a realtor, and send me some information of who you'd like to see on the show, and I'll get them here. But for now, I thought that insurance would be very important because of the weather events that we've been having across the nation. And so even if, Todd can answer some questions for you, just regardless, just give us a call, give him a call. And everyone out there, have a great day.
Thank you.